Welcome to the South Ops Fire Weather Webcast for Wednesday, July 2nd. I'm your host, Kristen Stewart. As a weak troughing pattern lingers overhead, the marine layer remains fairly deep this morning. Low clouds have once again surged across all of the coastal plains and many of the lower coastal valleys. Clearing should be gradual over the coming hours, though portions of the coastline may be more stubborn. Aside from the marine layer, there is a lot more mid-level cloud cover across the deserts this morning than there was yesterday, in association with the trough overhead. More on this in a moment. Just like the past couple days, the trough overhead is continuing to generate instability over the region. Now that it has moved farther inland, the amount of available moisture and instability that it is providing has increased, so the chances of thunderstorm activity have also increased. You can see in this current radar loop that thunderstorm activity has already begun to pick up over the deserts this morning and is much more numerous than yesterday. The fast movement of storms and dry air near the surface are likely giving way to dry lightning strikes across the deserts and very little precipitation reaching the ground. As we go through the day and heat up this afternoon, additional thunderstorm activity is expected across the deserts as well as across the Sierra, likely more widespread than the last couple days. Thunderstorm activity across the Sierra is likely to be wetter and slower moving than the deserts, with a lesser chance of dry lightning strikes. The weak troughing pattern over the region will lead to continued cooling across the interior today, particularly for the deserts where temperatures are expected to fall 3 to 6 degrees from yesterday. Little change in temperatures is expected elsewhere, as the trough has already sufficiently cooled down the air mass. The coastal valleys and inland portion of the coastal plains will rise into the 80s and low 90s this afternoon once the marine layer clouds clear. Farther from the marine influence, temperatures will rise into the mid-90s to near 100 across the high Central Valley and high desert, and around 105 to 110 for the low desert. As we go through the rest of the week troughing will likely remain the primary weather feature through the weekend. The cutoff low that we have been dealing with the past couple days will slowly drift eastward into Arizona on Thursday. This will keep a slight chance of a lingering shower or storm in play on Thursday over the Sierra and deserts, though much more isolated than today. Another weak troughing pattern will move in for Friday through the weekend, with more progressive westerly flow that will serve to kick out the thunderstorm threat and bring enhanced onshore flow and drier conditions to the interior. With weak troughing as the main weather feature, temperatures will continue to slowly cool through Friday across the interior, but remain mostly steady closer to the coast. Valley highs will range in the upper 80s to mid-90s. Coastal areas and the lower mountains will remain more comfortable in the 70s and 80s. Little change in temperatures is expected this weekend, though most areas will warm back up a few degrees. A persistent marine layer will remain in place through the weekend, with night through morning low clouds likely limited to the coastal plains and some lower valleys. Minimum humidity will be mainly 12 to 25% above and inland from the marine layer influence through the weekend, except for widespread single digits in the deserts. Recoveries will be mostly very good outside of the deserts and higher Southern California peaks. Winds will be primarily diurnal and terrain-driven through the weekend, with occasional afternoon and evening breeziness across the wind-prone ridges and passes. There may be a slight enhancement in winds on Friday with the weak trough passage. Gusty outflow winds are also possible near any thunderstorms the next couple days. Forecast projections indicate that high pressure is expected to strengthen over the desert southwest next week, especially the mid to latter portion. Confidence in this pattern has been increasing over the last several days, though there remains some uncertainty as to where the high pressure will be anchored and how strong it may become, as well as how long it may stick around. This type of pattern, time of year, would likely bring the potential for significant heat to the interior of Southern California, but how hot and for how long remains to be seen. From how it looks right now, triple-digit heat is a likely outcome for portions of the coastal valleys by late next week. The positioning of the high pressure is also an important factor in whether or not monsoon moisture can get pulled into the region. Right now, there is a good chance of monsoonal moisture moving into the deserts mid to late next week that would bring an increase in humidity. However, uncertainty still remains with respect to thunderstorm chances. We will continue to keep an eye on this potential heading into next week, and there will be more to come when we can get better details. Overall, no major fire weather concerns are expected through early next week due to the absence of any significant heat, low humidity, or strong winds. However, A large fire is still possible any day on wind and terrain-aligned starts as seasonably warm and dry conditions continue above and inland from the marine layer. In addition, lightning may cause some new ignitions through Thursday across the Sierra or even areas like the Mojave Preserve or Death Valley. High live fuel moistures in the mid and higher elevations of the Sierra will limit growth potential there. Storms in the desert will tend to be drier, and a large desert fire due to lightning is distinctly possible through Thursday. Increased human starts on Friday for the 4th of July holiday will also likely coincide with a modest decrease in humidity and increase in wind across the interior. So given all that, at least moderate initial attack activity and moderate to elevated probabilities for large fire will continue to exist through the next 7 days. And then we'll start to watch for potentially greater probabilities later next week with a potential significant heat. And that's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning in. Our next webcast will be on Thursday, July 3rd. Have a fantastic day.